Hey gang, and welcome to another Animal Crossing video. I'm Crossing Channel, and in the recent updates for Animal Crossing New Horizons, we've seen more and more evidence that Nintendo is going to add a cafe to the museum in the game in a future update. Now, of course, this would be the Roost and would bring back Brewster to Animal Crossing New Horizons, which is something that fans really want to see. However, a lot of people are forgetting another feature that is heavily connected to Brewster and the cafe that we could also see return alongside him, and there's some good evidence that they will return with Brewster in an upcoming update. So let's take a look at how Gyroids could return to Animal Crossing New Horizons soon, all the information you need to know and more. So, for those of you who don't know what a Gyroid is, these were little collectibles which you could basically get in every past Animal Crossing game. When it rained on your town or island, you'd be able to dig up the ground the day after and find Gyroids. And these were really cool because there were all kinds of different ones that made different noises and moved in different ways. You could sell them for a really good profit just like you can with assessed fossils. And also, they were really great to display in your house. As I mentioned, they would make a bunch of different sound effects, so you could have some really cool ambience in your home. There were loads of different varieties of them, and they were definitely beloved by Animal Crossing fans because they were such an iconic staple of the series, but sadly, they didn't make it back to Animal Crossing New Horizons like many features. However, we've known for quite a long while now that Gyroids are most likely planned to return to the game at some point in the future. Even in some of the very early Datamines, like a year ago now, we saw evidence of Gyroids coming back to the game, and with the Roost being something that we've seen in the Datamines as well, it seems very likely the two of them will come out at the same time because they're actually linked. If you didn't know, Brewster has an obsession with Gyroids, and in past Animal Crossing games, he would even let you store Gyroids with him. In Animal Crossing New Leaf, they even introduced some special Brewster-themed Gyroids, which I can't imagine wouldn't come back to Animal Crossing New Horizons if Brewster also came back, as they were one of his best and most iconic rewards. So the two have this connection and link that sort of brings them together and would give good cause for them to come at the same time rather than one or the other happening. With more and more evidence of the cafe being seen in the last two updates, we pretty much know that it is going to happen at some point in the future, and it's not just scrapped content or something left over, it's something that Nintendo is actively working on. So that definitely does give us a good chance of seeing Gyroids return at the same time as well. But there's other interesting little details which could suggest Gyroids might be returning soon alongside the Roost. One of these details I actually mentioned in a previous video about weather changes in Animal Crossing New Horizons, how in the latest Datamine we had seen that Nintendo had added some new weather patterns to the game. Now, one of these weather patterns was incredibly interesting to me, as it would basically mean your island would have heavy rain all day. And of course, as I mentioned at the start of this video, Gyroids love the rain and they only appear after it rains. So if Nintendo was adding more rain to the mix and kind of, making rain appear more around our islands, that would be a good way for players to be able to get more Gyroids when they do come to the game. It might not be connected, but there's definitely something interesting there. It seems random for Nintendo to add new weather patterns for no reason. It's not like they were completely new types of weather or anything like that. They were existing ones, but just different patterns throughout the day. So if there was anything that was going to be linked to Gyroids, it would be a heavy rain happening throughout the day. Now, of course, quite a while ago, something even more conclusive was discovered within the code for Animal Crossing New Horizons, which would point towards Gyroids. It was an item kind called 35 Gyroid. Now, this is very interesting, and we don't really know much more about it, whether it is actually related to the Gyroids that we know and love, or maybe it's related to Lloyd instead, though personally, I can't imagine an item kind being related to Lloyd, so that doesn't seem too likely to me. However, I also don't think that it means we're going to see 35 Gyroids. There's a lot more than that, and I can't imagine them doing it like that, so I don't know what the 35 means, but I just thought it was worth mentioning because that's probably one of the more conclusive ways we know that Gyroids are going to return at some point in the future for Animal Crossing New Horizons. Another really interesting discovery which could point towards Gyroids was discovered in the most recent updates by Stony, an Animal Crossing New Horizons data miner, and they noticed there is a new array called MC Array, which they speculate might actually be in full a cafe array. Now, if you didn't know, these arrays, they basically give you the parameters for showing 3D previews of items which are used in the catalog, custom designs, crafting, and slopes and bridges as well. And this new array was added, and Stony kind of speculates that this cafe array would show the preview of something like Gyroids, which definitely would make a lot of sense. Of course, you would need to have previews of these gyroids in 3D, just like you do of all the other different items in the game, so this definitely could be an interesting little tidbit, and it's certainly interesting to me that Nintendo has hidden the name of it in full. There's a lot of rumors going on at the moment that we're going to see a big update sometime in November, or at least before the year ends. And of course, Nintendo has come out to mention on multiple occasions that they are working on more stuff for the game, which most likely doesn't point towards the tiny updates that we've gotten in the most recent 2 that disappointed a lot of fans. So if the cafe does happen, which it seems pretty likely given we've seen a lot of development happen on it in the last 2 updates alone, it would seem that Gyroids could also be returning alongside it as a nice new collectible that players could enjoy within the game. Of course, there is no guarantee that any Datamine content within Animal Crossing New Horizons will ever return to the game. Nintendo has had stuff within the game's code for ages that we still haven't seen, but when you can see more of it being developed in recent months, it does seem a lot more promising than stuff that's been in the game's code, say, since the very start. So with all of these interesting little details that we've seen in the Datamines, it could definitely point that Gyroids may be on their way in the near future, and I think that would be fantastic. They really are a great collectible, and honestly the only Gyroid we actually have in the game is Lloyd, which obviously you cannot collect. So I would love to see them come back. I think it would give players a really nice new daily goal to enjoy. Honestly, it would be even better if you could actually donate Gyroids to the museum. It would give players a new reason to check in every day and dig up the ground and collect all of the different Gyroids so they could complete their Gyroid exhibit. This could kind of go alongside the fossil exhibit so they wouldn't even need to add a new one, maybe just a new room. And if that wasn't the case, I assume Brewster would probably store your Gyroids once again, like he did in the past Animal Crossing games, which would definitely be really fun. Maybe Brewster would task you with getting certain Gyroids for him in return for rewards. Either way, I definitely think we will see new Nook Mile goals happen when there are Gyroids for collecting all of the different ones, so that'll be a fun kind of goal to achieve anyways, even if we can't donate Gyroids to the museum. So what do you think? Could Gyroids return to Animal Crossing New Horizons at some point in the future? And will we see them come alongside the Roost when that does return as well? I really hope that Gyroids do make a return sometime soon, as I think the game needs more day-to-day goals that you can enjoy, rather than just new features that people will get bored of in a little while. There's no doubt I'm really excited for the Roost, and I know it'll bring a lot to the game if they do decide to add the mechanic of you working there and all the different items you can collect, as well as seeing other characters there. But I think Gyroids would be a really cool goal if you could donate them and maybe get your own collections, something that you basically need to look out for each and every day, especially once it has rained. It'd give people a reason to check in every day again, which is something this game sorely needs at the moment. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like to show your support. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on those channel notifications for more videos, and if you made it to the end, be sure to comment Bob's Gang down below so I know that you did. If you want to help support me and my channel, click the join button down below the video or the link in the description to become a channel member and a member of the Bob's Gang. You can get a whole bunch of really cool perks for doing so, such as exclusive emojis, a badge by your name, exclusive content and posts, and so much more, so be sure to check that out.